Wait, why does it not say we're live yet? Oh, there we go.
Yes. Here we go.
Cool. All right, here we go. Pop out the chitty chat. What up, Cobra Kai? What up, Movie Mike? What up, Barry?
Greetings,
You're still in
y'all.
there. All right, so put that there. Put that there. I'm gonna just slightly over. What up, Necromechanimal? How y'all doing today?
Greetings.
Good to see you. Oh, just 1 second. Got something here. Alrighty. And what's going on, guys? I'm gonna let some people filter in before we get this party started.
Yes, Feliz Año Nuevo, though. Happy
Indeed.
new frightful year, everybody.
Yeah. Hope everyone had a happy holidays and a happy new year. What up, Nolan? Fuego and I did just record our review of Nosferatu, so that'll be going up probably tomorrow. And then we also recorded two reviews of two other new movies. Fuego recorded a review of Get Away, and I recorded a review of The Damned. So those will be coming this week as well. And then next Sunday, I don't know, Fuego and I are going to be doing something. We haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah, it's my last one before heading back for the final semester and that film and media stuff at Arizona State. So, yeah.
Thank you, Nolan. I appreciate that. My two fave horror bros. Much appreciated. What up, The Wolf?
Yeah,
Good to see you. Big Rod. Hello, hello. Jamie Hart, what's going on? William the Creator, what up, what up? Good to see you guys. Happy New Year to everyone. Sorry I've been MIA. It's just been a horrible vacation situation for me. I got sick on the 23rd of December. The flu lasted me 8 days, and on the tail end of the flu, I ended up getting an ear infection. And when I went to urgent care to find that out, they had to clear out some unfortunately impacted wax, and when they did, they perforated my eardrum. So now I have to wait, and my eardrum should heal in a couple weeks. Currently, the ear infection is still healing. But yeah, so it's been a rough time. I can't hear out of this ear at all, so I'm gonna, if I'm doing this a lot, it's because I need to be able to hear
I was wondering if we should have switched spots, but since you're working the mouse, man, I mean,
yeah,
we just have to.
We'll be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Fuego's about to
right
jump
on.
into
Thanks.
his final
Yeah,
semester.
thanks, Nolan. Yeah. Ironically enough, I just have a couple Spanish classes, and then I'm doing a screenwriting class, the second one. I think this one is intermediate screenwriting or something like that. So
Nice.
yeah. So we'll be working on a feature script this time as opposed to just the short that I completed for the previous class.
Cool.
So, which is sitting around. I've been tinkering with it just a little bit, trying to see how much I like it. You know, because I developed one of my horror ideas, and it was one that I've been just kind of bouncing around in the head for a little while. It's just the logistics of making it, because it would entail some gore, is where, you know, it would be a little more difficult. So I didn't go my rom-com route or something of that nature, because those are a few of my other, you know, script outlines that have been floating for a while. But yeah, quite a year of frights, guys. Man, alive.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff this year. Fuego, I think you said you saw
A lot of
over
bad stuff.
100.
So 105 in total, but the thing is, there were still, as I was going back through my list of everything that is either strictly still on VOD, or it has shifted gears to a Shudder, a Screambox, or it's on Prime, or it's on Pluto TV, or it's on the Terrors of Tubi, or, you know, I mean, there's still just a little under 200 with the dozen or so I watched in the last week or so, you know, right around the holidays. So I caught up on a bunch of stuff, but yet there was still a lot of other stuff, you know, tons of things that I didn't get the chance to watch. I'm sure Jason Smith watched all of it.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
of course.
but
Yeah, he prides himself on it.
Yeah, and I used to back when I had the time to, but
Yeah.
you know, especially with just more and more going to streaming at this point, more VOD stuff getting attention from like a Bloody Disgusting or a Daily Dead or whatever. I mean, I always add stuff to my spreadsheets and to my documents, you know, and so I'm still aware that it's there. And as I was trying to catch up on things, and there was still tons that I didn't, I was looking, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this in bold if it had an 80% or better on like Rotten Tomatoes, for instance, and there was still like a couple dozen.
Yeah.
You know, of that 182, 83, whatever it was. And so,
yeah,
man.
When we did our last worst of the year a few years ago,
that
was the year I decided, what am I doing to myself? Why am I forcing myself to watch so many movies that come out just to watch them? Because a lot of them are just ass.
Yeah, and I watched a lot of ass this year, unfortunately, you know. And, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I just don't like regurgitating those negative experiences, and since I'm kind of averse to I know hate sells on YouTube, and it's very much a big thing, just taking a dump on something, but I just don't take as much enjoyment in doing that sort of thing. So I definitely have a worst of list. Maybe I'll put it on Letterboxd or something, you know, because one of them involved a lot of defecation in a film, and it was a release for May 24.
God. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nolan says he's been in the stream since 2020, but the name's changed like 5 times. Well, we appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah.
Corey Novak, what's going on? Happy New Year, sir.
Yo.
Isaac Taylor with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for your generosity. Huge fan of the channel. Just saw Nosferatu, by the way. Yeah, I got to it late, too, so Fuego and I just recorded our review before we sat down to do this.
Yeah, saw it on Christmas night, packed theater. A lot of people seemed enthusiastic about it. So, yeah.
Not everyone.
Not everybody.
Horror is has the best and
good.
Worst movies for sure.
And that's because of the and maybe budget has a lot to do with that. But then again, I've seen so many huge budget just disasters like Borderlands last year, for instance, which was just one of the worst things I had seen.
That would easily make the worst
quite a
of
while.
Yeah. Bernie Gambano, what up? What up? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'd like to avoid the movie with the poos. Yeah, me too. That's what I've heard Salo was a lot about. I've never watched Salo though.
Yeah.
William the Creator, I can't wait to see you review Nosferatu. It was my favorite movie last year. You might want to wait.
Film is subjective.
Yeah, film is subjective for sure.
Yeah.
Big Rod, I feel you fellas. I have no interest in films I know I won't like. I'm old enough to not waste time. Exactly, right? Like I'm horror something, and so I don't want to. I'm old enough now that I don't want to use my time to be like, what am I doing? Like, you know?
Yeah. And on top of that, when there's so much content out there, and I mean, of all, this is just horror feature films. There is so much horror television I had no time to get to. I still haven't caught up on From. I still have,
I haven't
there was
I'm barely catching up on Evil. I'm finally watching Evil.
Final season of Umbrella Academy I haven't watched yet.
I'm halfway through that, and I am not in a rush to like.
Yeah, and there's a few things on Apple TV Plus I've been wanting to watch, which are more on the
I did get through Squid Game season 2. That was
okay.
But I was sick, so I like just binged the whole thing one day.
Yeah, because I started to feel like I was getting the crud, right after Christmas, and that's when I was first getting caught up on some things. But
what up, Flex Movies and Pop Culture? Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, and one other thing that I have to shout out here is that there were some films that I couldn't put into my list, like Sleep, for instance, was something that I know didn't get an official release theatrically until this year, but yet since I saw it on the festival circuit last year, it has to be disqualified from that for me. And so everything that I have on my 10 list, at least, was things that had its official via IMDb. It was either it got its
I wasn't that
official internet review.
Mine all were officially released in 2024, but
Same.
one or two of them may have been on the festival circuit the previous
bounced
year.
around before. Yeah, but that's the thing. It doesn't technically count if it was on the festival circuit the previous year, because we have a lot of official releases in 24. They're on the festival circuit like 22, for instance. And so it just depends when it locks in distribution and decides to go either limited theatrical, full theatrical for bigger stuff, or just, put on a streamer or, internet VOD release. So there's lots of different things that I at least incorporate into stipulations because I'm neurotic about that.
So I think it's time for us to dive in. But let me say, so here's the situation. Because I had to do the graphics for everything, I know what Fuego's choices are. He does not know what my choices are.
You don't know the order of my choices.
I don't know the order of your choices,
so
which
that's
was annoying
because
I was trying to set it up in a particular way, but it is what it is.
Because I think they were alphabetically listed
will say,
in the email.
We only have 3 in common, and my response to a few of your choices is, what the fuck?
Some of mine?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yes, so I'm excited to get into it.
Mine.
I'm excited to get into it, yeah. All right, but I'll start.
And also, did you consult a lot of other people's lists beforehand, or not?
No,
not really?
No, I purposely avoided them, yeah. But I mean, I know there's some cream that rises to the top based on,
Yeah, because I have
experiences
seen
throughout
a lot
the year.
of lists very similar from a lot of people, and so, yeah, not that I deliberately tried to go, left of center or off the beaten
Mm-hmm.
path or whatever, because I have some of those big name things that are on a lot of other people's lists too,
Yeah.
and I have the omission of some.
I
too.
probably have a lot more commercial stuff than
Yeah.
you do, but
Yeah.
So Bernie Gambano, random question: does anyone know when or if we're ever going to get the Toxic Avenger movie? No, they shelved that bitch.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, they
which
shelved
is a bummer.
it. Like
yeah.
it played at one festival, and Peter Dinklage wants it out there. But yeah, there is no hide nor hair of where that movie is.
Yeah,
Spook Dev, what up?
Yeah, after taking some of these classes where we talk about the U.S. media's industry class I just finished, for instance, there are a lot of movies that they get finished and all that money goes into it,
yeah.
and they can't secure distribution. And
Salem's Lot.
and yeah, exactly. At least that eventually, based on the name of Stephen King, got to a streamer in Max. But yeah, sometimes like what happened with the Supergirl movie last year, for instance, at least they could take the tax
No,
write
Batgirl.
off.
Batgirl.
Batgirl. I said Supergirl. Yeah,
Supergirl's
Supergirl
being
on the
made,
other hand,
and
Jason Momoa.
So excited! That'll
Yeah.
definitely be a topic. Oh, by
It's
the way,
it's the
I'm
casting he's wanted
rescheduling the
forever.
Superman stream. It looks like the Superman stream will be next Saturday night. So I am so excited about that stream. I'm so bummed I had to cancel it before. So far, I've gotten 2 confirmations of the 4 guests. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. But I am pumped to talk about that shit. I am so excited. So the other question, William the Creator, have you guys watched Mads on Shudder? I watched and reviewed it on the channel.
I watched it too.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I hate zombie movies. So tired of them, and it's one of the ones that I like because it does something unique with it. Finally, you know what I mean. Loved it. So
Yeah.
all right.
Am I allowed to say that it was in consideration for my list,
Yeah,
even though
that's
it
fine.
didn't make
That's
it?
fine.
Because,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
it had a.
I considered it too.
It had a pervasive energy to it that
Yeah.
I loved.
I loved it,
That
too.
movie hooked me right away.
Yeah,
with
I reviewed that alone because I didn't.
I was
You were
too,
at school.
too busy.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it until like a week ago.
It's so good though,
Dude,
right?
it was propulsive. It just, where he's just leaving the drug house and getting in his dad's vehicle and
just
just
seeing,
going and
following the virus as it slowly goes.
I
So
actually
cool.
think that I have a top 20, and it's going to be on my letterbox, and it's in my 20. So, yeah.
All right, so my number 10. This is one I was going back and forth with 2 movies. Ultimately, I knocked one off here. Maybe we'll do a quick, alternates at the end. But my number 10, I settled on VHS Beyond.
Okay.
So this is the best VHS movie, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think there was only 1 weak entry in this version. There's usually 2 to 3 weak ones, in my opinion. I think this one had majority positive, and I, in fact, liked one that a lot of people didn't, the Flanagan
Flanagan's wife, Kate Siegel, directed it.
Yeah, I loved that one. I loved the first one.
I think Mike wrote it.
freaking
Yeah.
Big Bird creature was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
incredible. The skydiving,
I love the skydiving
was
one.
incredible.
That was my favorite.
Like
sequence, the
I
skydiving.
loved VHS Beyond, and
The only one
it
that
just between it and the movie I was considering before, I would rewatch VHS Beyond more than the other one.
I
even
think
though
the
the other
weak
one's good.
segment in that one, if I remember, was the cops going into the house. That was at least
I think
the weaker
so.
one for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
that I
yeah,
didn't-
yeah.
It didn't fit the theme of
No,
all
yeah,
of
there
the
was
other
very
ones, so-
everything else was alien adjacent.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that one was
Yeah,
very,
more on the sci-fi horror, and, bit
So
of
yeah,
things.
my number 10, VHS Beyond. I
Yeah,
think
I did like this
very
movie.
worthwhile.
Yeah. I think this is one of the few years where I didn't end up having an anthology on my list, and this is a strong one, and they're going to keep cranking them out because I do think you're right that these are getting just better and better as the brand continues to solidify itself with Bloody Disgusting's assistance behind it, but also that just means they're going to keep attracting bigger, more like talented voices and stuff like that, and they still do give opportunities to young up and comers too.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Well, less so. No, apparently
less so now. It's just
less
all
so
high
because
profile.
the guy Tom that edited my movie, he edited the Justin Long and his brothers segment for VHS Beyond, and he's edited on every VHS movie, and he's like, yeah, no, they're only taking. He's like, I can't.
It's
direct
only
one.
It's only
He's
big
like,
names
it's only
now.
big names now.
Yeah, well,
So-
they've risen to that point based
they
on
have.
quality and based on viewership and everything.
What I thought
So,
was most interesting is the first 3 came out 3 years in a row, and then they took like a
took a
6-year
big
break,
hiatus, yeah.
and now they're going to have 4 in a row, and all of them since they've come back have been good.
Yeah.
Or no, 5 in a row. They've
Yeah.
done 4 since they come back already.
yeah, because the third one was kind of a stinker if I
Yeah, yeah,
remember,
yeah.
and so yeah.
All right, so that's my number
Okay.
10, Fueguissimo. What
Yeah.
are you putting in your 10 slot?
My number 10 was originally a little bit higher, and I had been tinkering with this list and, overanalyzing it like any Virgo would, over and over and over. And this was actually a lot higher on the list, and then as I, just retinkered, reconfigured. Anyway, I'm going with Strange Darling as my number 10. And so, yeah, Strange Darling is one that the performance from our lead lady in this, and without revealing any major things about, motivations or whatever, I did not find the Tarantino sequencing and, stuff being told out of order and jumping around and all that different stuff to be, cliche or derivative or whatever. I thought it was actually very tastefully done. It was terrifically shot. And her performance, most notably, I just keep thinking about, as far as like some of my favorite shots of the entire year, there's a bit with her driving in a car near the end of this movie, and it just like haunts my dreams almost, because you can see the gears turning, very similar to an end shot with Mia Goth at the end of Pearl, that just like it just cut me to the core. And like the realization of everything, we talked about this when we reviewed it. Kyle Gallner is, I mean, he's great in everything at this particular point, dude. I mean, whether it's the Passenger, or whether it's Dinner in America or whatever. That was another one that I really loved. I mean, yeah, this one was originally higher, but I just kept reconsidering other things, but there was no way in hell that this movie was not going to be in my top 10, because it's not full blown horror like Creature, Crazy, whatever, but character motivations, some of the kinkiness, I mean, performances, dynamic. One of the funniest scenes in a horror movie I've seen the entire year either, where there is a breakfast being prepared. I mean, there's just so many different moving parts in this that I enjoyed the hell out of. And so, yes, my number 10, Strange Darling. I'm assuming this is going to be on yours a lot higher up.
This makes it even crazier, your list.
Yeah.
Like, I am flummoxed by the other choices you have above this one.
I just liked him better, man. Anyway.
Oh my god, That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. His number 10, Strange Darling.
Yeah.
All right, going to my number 9. Let's check in with people here.
Yeah.
Still need to see this. Cecil likes it so much he's pulling his hair out. Bought it on DVD. Haven't watched it yet. William, you should definitely watch it.
Yeah, it's.
I have not seen Strange Darling.
Oh,
if
it's
top 10, it's on both of our lists.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Oh yeah.
Perfect 10 spot. Nolan, get out. You get out. Flummoxed is crazy. All right. I'm going to move on before I lose my mind on number 10. All right, my number 9 is going to be You'll Never Find Me.
This is one of the few I didn't get to.
Oh,
yeah.
This is one you absolutely should make time for.
Yeah,
this is one that I only made time for because I'd heard so many people be like, this movie was really good. And it was just sitting on Shudder. Just one of the Shudder releases that just went by, and it kept moving this way on the app, as more movies got released.
Yeah, and I caught up on some other Shudder ones I was not too impressed with, so the fact that this is one you liked so much, I almost threw this on last night, man.
Powerhouse performance from both leads. It is two people in a trailer, the entire movie, with rain all throughout the outside.
I love those sort of movies.
It's so fucking good.
Dialogue driven,
so yeah, basically what happens is there's this dude, and you can tell there's, we don't know what his deal is, but he's just sitting alone. He's dealing with something, and suddenly gets a knock at the door, and it's this young woman standing in the rain, just asking for some directions, for some help. He invites her in out of the rain, and she's like, "Can I use your phone?" He's like, "I don't have a phone, but you shouldn't be out there in the rain. It's dangerous." And she's like, "Well, I'll just walk to a payphone." He's like, "It's a mile away. You'll never make it in the rain." And it's so it basically becomes, who are these people?
That's what I was just going to say. Character
what's
motivations.
The deal with these people? And why? And I watched this with Morgan, and she doesn't like very much. She has very high standards for film for herself.
I know.
But we both loved it. We both were like, the acting is phenomenal, and the resolution is so good. It's so good. And yeah, I mean, it's for a straight to Shudder, film that just kind of went by. make time and watch it, you guys. It is so fucking good. I had forgotten about it until I was looking at, like, you know, best horror movies of 2024, like, you know, Esquire and all that shit, which, by the way, Esquire's list is ass. Yeah. They have fucking Imaginary and Night Swim in their top 20.
That's nuts.
so yeah, don't go to Esquire. But on, like, one of the other ones said that You'll Never Find Me. I was like, wait, that was 2024, and I looked it up, and it was like March 2024. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, that's easily on my list. So yeah, 100% You'll Never Find Me is one you gotta watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always end up catching up on the Shudder and into this point the Screambox stuff as well. All of the other, there's.
I know he does look like Clint Howard, Tyler. I thought the same thing, but no, he's not. He's not.
Yeah, because there's just dozens upon dozens of releases that they start out on VOD and then they shift over to Shudder sometimes.
Don't invoke Knock Knock. This is not Knock Knock. It is so much better than Knock Knock. I give you free fucking pizza. Oh my God, that was the worst. We saw that together, didn't we?
We did.
On Mill.
I mean, which
God,
was
that shit was so horrible.
Which was a remake of something I believe.
It was Eli Roth too, right?
It was Eli Roth. It was Keanu.
Eli Roth, between hotties, that and Borderlands. Like, he squeezed in Thanksgiving, which I loved, and now I'm excited for Thanksgiving too.
Well, I mean,
but my God, he's done some shit.
Didn't Eli Roth end up leaving Borderlands and handed it over to that kid Tim Miller to finish?
No,
he did. Did he? And he finished a bunch of the reshoots and stuff because he had moved on. He'd moved on to Thanksgiving, and Tim Miller having done first Deadpool movie and.
All right, so that's my number 9 is You'll Never Find Me. Fuego.
You'll never find
What's
me.
above Strange Darling for you?
Above Strange Darling is one that I don't believe I reviewed with you. But, it's another one that is probably on a lot of people's lists, and it's because I love the aesthetic of this movie. I adored the performance from our lead. It's great to see.
This, aren't you?
Great to see Dysmalchin in.
God damn it! I knew it.
In a lead role, man.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I love this movie. I love this movie.
You love it enough to be number 9?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Friggin' dude. I didn't know how much I just loved the 70s schlock, the recreation. Even though a lot of people hate on the behind the scenes black and white bits that were, supposedly like why would they have this interspersed in this master tape? You can check your brain in at the door on certain things.
Based on this, I said there's 3 that we have both on our list. I know what your number 8's gonna be. Because all 3 of the ones on our list, I guarantee are at the bottom of yours somehow.
Maybe. Anyway, and I know some people do not like some of the unexplored bits, like, the cult that he had his connections with. They also don't like how we go full-on dream sequence wackiness at the very end. It worked for me, man. I just love this performance. I know it had a little bit of additional controversy because of those couple title cards that were AI generated.
Whatever.
I felt like that was going a little overboard.
Way overboard.
Yeah, but beyond that, man, I dug the aesthetic of this movie. I liked the dynamic of the disproving guy along with the believer and just how it all plays out. I mean, damn, I just adore this flick, dude. Yeah, I really do.
All right, adored enough for number 9.
Guessing it's not even sniffing around your best of the year. No.
Wait and see.
Okay.
My number 8 is going to be Under Paris.
Ah.
So I went with the ones that I enjoyed the most. I didn't necessarily go with the best movies of the
these
year
are not the best. These are
my favorites. These are my top.
Favorites. Yeah.
Under Paris was a huge surprise for me, and I rewatched it just 2 days ago to make sure I wasn't crazy enjoying it as much as I did. But I love it. To me, it is, there's Jaws, The Shallows, and then I think this and 47 Meters Down and Deep Blue Sea are all hovering around the same area. Like Deep Blue Sea I nostalgically like more, but 47 Meters Down and Under Paris are both equally enjoyable as shark movies.
Yeah.
And this maybe even more so. There is so much carnage, so much like awesome stuff, and the way it ends, I was like, shit, this movie ends like this? I forgot.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And like there's so many good scenes.
Too.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Because like the shark nursery scene when they're below and it's just hundreds of these, asexually reproducing fucking makos they're not even makos, it's a whole new species now and stuff. And they did such a great job, and what a fun premise. It's a triathlon taking place in the Seine. And but also I didn't realize that there are already submerged parts of the Paris catacombs, which obviously As Above, So Below is a very well-loved found footage movie, and that takes place in the unflooded version of the catacombs. So now, go to the version of the catacombs, if you've seen As Above, So Below, go to the version of the catacombs that's flooded with sharks.
Yeah.
So it's still walls of skulls, but it's full of water and sharks that want to get you.
Yeah.
So, like, the setting... The effects are really great for for CG sharks.
Yeah.
The gore is there, and the story is fine, but it does all the other things so well, and it's so much fun that I had to put it on my list.
Yeah, this is swimming around the back half for me, and I watched a few of those other shark movies this year. The one about the crash plane was one.
No Way Up. I saw that, and that was
Yeah,
trash.
it was
Compared to
not
this,
good.
it's trash.
Yeah, and there was like at least one or two others, something in the water or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
There were a couple others that are on streamers.
Last Breath is another one that came out.
Yeah, this was easily like leaps and bounds.
Leaps and bounds.
Yeah. The only thing that left it a little derivative for me was the fact that the plot does mirror Jaws a lot, where the person, that's
close
like,
the beaches.
No, we're not doing
it.
it. No,
it.
there's too many people
We'll lose
here.
too
There's
much
much riding on this.
Yeah.
But I'm stoked that there's a sequel, and I mean, somebody who brought up Mads and this. I mean, and I saw a few other a film that did not crack my list or anything, but I mean, Vordelok. We're not doing honorables or anything. There's a lot of kick-ass French horror this year, man. Not that there isn't every year, but stuff that at least got enough attention for us over here in the States and stuff. And so easily the best shark movie of the year. It is in my, because I always make a list of 20, and this is in my back half.
Yeah,
so,
guys, if you avoid shark movies just because they tend to be so bad, I agree. This is not one to avoid. This is one. It's a great hour and 40 minutes long, and you'll have a totally fun time. Grab some drinks, grab some popcorn. Throw it on a big screen and you'll have a blast. Don't watch it on your phone. I watched some of it on my phone the other day, just in the rewatch, because I was doing it before going to bed. And then I was like, what am I doing? And I just moved it from my phone to the TV at the end of my bed, which I almost never watch movies on anymore because the phone's so easy. But I was like, what am I doing? I want to see the attacks. I want to see the cool gore and stuff. So, yeah, this is very much, oh my god, I need to watch The Catacombs with Sharks. Yes, Mindy's book journey.
Oh, it's awesome.
What up, Ryan, and what up, Mindy? Good to see you guys join. Max Parker, I don't know if I said hi to you yet. So hello. Yeah, a lot of people saying I haven't seen that. Tyler, I wanted to see this.
Yeah, it was one of the most watched things on Netflix of the entire year, which is why they immediately greenlit a sequel for it.
And I'm very glad. So
there
you go.
And I think there is a dubbed version, as you always have on.
I watched the dubbed one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as egregious with the dubs as certain other things I've watched on Netflix.
I know. Well, they're putting more. I watched the dubbed version of Squid Game 2 this time. I watched the original Squid Game, but it did so well that they put money into the dub, and it actually sounded good. So
because
I was like, all right.
Yeah, because I've also heard that now what's getting commonplace on certain formats is they'll just have an AI generating the dub, and it just as opposed to
a
an
shark
actual
book series I've wanted to read for years. Finally put out audiobooks, and it's AI, and it's fucking horrible. There's no inflection.
The roboticness of the performances.
It's just awful.
Yeah,
and I told the writer, it's just like, it tested over 90% with the test audiences. I'm like, have you listened to it yourself? As the author? That's really how you want your book presented?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, inordinately angry about that. Fuego, what's your number 8?
This is probably one of the shockers for you on my list. And
if it's this one, I'm gonna punch you.
And this is where I have to, to say that film is often, and your enjoyment of it, not best, but your favorites, films you had the most fun with, often speak to your own sensibilities. I'm a musician, and I have been for many, many years. This is a film that incorporated a lot of musical elements throughout. And it is a Shudder exclusive.
I think I know which one.
It has none other than half of Bill and Ted, Alex Winter, but you can't tell it's him. This movie is a fucking blast of fun. It is so goofy, so silly.
It is this one, right?
It's most definitely Destroy All Neighbors, dude. And that's where... So, I think Strange Darling and Late Night with the Devil are better films, maybe from an auteur standpoint, technical prowess, perhaps.
This is where I insert the Naked Gun head slap meme. It's like slap, and then a whole stadium slap.
Love this movie, and nowhere near as many people saw it as needed to, especially if you were into the later sort of Raimi stuff, like Army of Darkness and Drag Me to Hell, stuff like that. The goriness is so goopy, and yet I love the plot.
Goriness is so goopy.
It is. It's a slimy, but like
It is,
so
it
much
is.
of the so much.
The practicality
you have
of it
seen
is.
this movie.
Oh yeah, I watched
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's why I have no fucking clue how it made your top.
It's been
50,
sitting.
let alone
it's
top
been,
20
I
or 10.
rewatched it with Catherine just this past week, man, and I was just like, it
It is
actually
more
it shifted
your
up.
vibe than my vibe.
It's oh man, and just the
music
plight
of it,
and
yeah.
the plight of the lead character, and the fact that he's this weird prog rock musician that's been trying to work on this magnum opus for years, and then when he gets his band together in the finale, and it's all the different people they've killed and stuff like this. Films that are your favorites, not the best. This is not one of the best horror movies of the year, but as far as ones that I had the most fun with, favorites, I mean, art is subjective. If you guys haven't seen this just hilarious, just splatterific bit of silliness, Destroy All Neighbors is definitely in my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the movies of 2024.
It's one of the movies. It was released in 2024.
All right, my number 7 is gonna be Cuckoo. So, to me, there were two movies that were very similarly marketed and very similarly received, just sort of oppositely almost.
As far as
The
box office.
marketing for Cuckoo and the marketing for Longlegs
Yep.
were both very specific and very well done marketing.
And both put out by Neon.
And I hated Longlegs, and I really liked Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Cuckoo did something that I had never seen before in a movie, and it was super interesting for that reason. The chattering thing that made her like relive moments and stuff, and the way everything played out, the way everything was revealed. Taking place technically in Germany as well, I think. And the dude
Swiss Alps,
from
maybe,
Kong
or
versus
nearby it,
Kong
or
X
something.
Godzilla.
Oh, Dan Stevens.
Yeah, Dan Stevens playing an awesome character
Who
in
had
this.
quite a year, between Godzilla Kong, between Abigail.
Hunter Schafer, amazing in the movie.
Yeah,
Like the movie is really, really great, and it's because it's so different from horror movies that we normally get.
Yeah.
And I give it so much props for that. Longlegs to me was so derivative and just fucking annoying, and they ruined like the biggest moment in the trailers, and I'm like, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
And literally I said it in the trailer reaction that I did. I was like, oh, so I guess he just did this because we show her walking into the room, and now we see her covered in blood with blood on the wall behind her. So I know exactly what's going to happen now. And then like it just was a matter of time. And so Longlegs was out for me. Cuckoo did everything that I want in a independent horror movie that's trying to do something different.
Yeah, Cuckoo was an alternate that when I watched... There was one film that slipped into my 10 that was not there before that I watched in the last week. This was unfortunately... This was the one that got bumped. So this is in my back 10 that'll end up being on, because, dude, the score was killer in this
good.
too. It was like it had some goth, like almost like synthwave sort of tinges to it too. Yeah, performances from, the parents, everything, the filmmaking too, when you saw what was amiss and how it was affecting characters, like the almost like stuttery sort of editing techniques in this movie. This is one we have a very gushy review of on the channel if you guys want to hear full thoughts about Cuckoo. But yeah.
What up, Jeff and Jay the Destroyer? Good to see you guys.
Yeah, Jeff. Awesome. Mindy's book journey. Yeah, I liked Cuckoo a lot more than Longlegs as well.
Yeah.
Yes, hell yeah.
Yeah, totally gave. Yeah. Tyler says, "Yep, that totally gave it away." Yeah, dude, that was so fucking annoying in the trailer. Yeah. Like, I don't know why. Like, the marketing for Longlegs was great until they did that shit.
Yeah, and I really like Oz Perkins too, and I'm stoked as hell about what he's doing. Yeah, with the monkey, the Stephen King and everything, and Blackcoat's daughter, and even his Gretel and Hansel. I really liked, technically more so than maybe everything else, but so yeah,
that's my number 7. Flaquissimo.
So my number 7 is one that I can't remember if you actually ended up seeing or not. This is one that from the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival left a major impression on me, and
so it's probably this one or this
and
one.
it definitely kind of
I never saw either of these
It
two.
scratched the itch that fans of maybe if you were going for more romantic, What We Do in the Shadows kind of vibe as far as
I did see that.
vampiric motivations and things of that nature. So if I'm going to go with the, I don't have the original French title unfortunately, but
so this one.
yes, Vampire Humaniste Cherche Suicidaire Consenta. So essentially translated, Humanist Vampire seeking consulting suicidal person. Consenting. Yeah, consulting suicidal person. I thought this movie had like a very just endearing sweetness to its core. It's less, it's more on the romantic comedy with horror elements sort of bits, but I love the performance from our lead, especially her interactions with her family initially, and how she's constantly pissing them off, and so she gets shipped off to live with the aunt. I like the development of the narrative, and I'm just a sucker for horror films when they don't get cynical with their romance, when it is just full on just sweetness, and it speaks to the belief in, you know, true loves and things like that. You know, something that I really believed in a lot when I was growing up, and that unfortunately lots of bad experiences over the course of my adolescence and then into my adulthood kind of messed with a little bit. But you know, the chemistry between our two leads, this is another, it's technically a Canadian film, but it's a French Canadian film, so it is in French, so there's no dub or anything you know, existing out there. But and also it does kind of veer into some John Hughes sensibilities, and I don't know, that's just what it was so drastically different than just about anything. I mean, John Hughes,
it felt to me like a Michael Cera vampire movie.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was okay. I could say I think at the time right after IHSFF, I described it as if Let the Right One In was thrown in a blender with like a Wes Anderson movie almost, especially with like the design of the house. The birthday scene at the beginning of the movie is so funny. So I love this movie. It speaks very much to just my sensibilities about not just horror but genre in and of itself. And I really dig the ending too, especially with what certain characters are doing and how they're kind of maintaining their ethos after transformative things transpire. And so I love this movie, guys. I don't know where it's streaming or if it's like VOD or something like that. It's definitely VOD, but I got to see this in theaters and I was just all the better for it.
I watched it as part of IHSFF also. I don't know, maybe it was one of the ones where we watched separately. But
yeah, we did watch this separately because we had some work conflicts and stuff. This was actually originally a little higher on my list, and I had to shift it back a few slots. But
it was a good movie. Definitely not my top 10, but I did enjoy it. It was my favorite of the festival.
Yeah.
So yeah. There you go, guys. Yeah.
I think the other two.
It's worth watching.
Yeah.
All right. So that leads me to numero 6.
Yes.
Which for me is gonna be Romulus. That's what I'm putting Alien Romulus. It was a return to form for the Alien franchise to me. I wasn't the biggest fan of Prometheus. I actually enjoyed Covenant more just because it was more of an alien movie than Prometheus was. And this was obviously made by Fede Alvarez, who, you know, we're big fans of the stuff that he's done. He's obviously a big fan of the franchise. There's one misstep bringing a character back a little bit. I didn't mind it. I did think that the CG was rough a couple of angles of the character, but they made facehuggers scary to me for the first time in the entire franchise. They did the zero grav scene was completely awesome.
Standout of the entire film.
No. To me, the standout sequence of the entire film
was at the finale.
The finale with the fucking rings.
Yeah.
The planetary rings and how it just grinds the ship down. So fucking cool. So many amazing set pieces. I didn't mind the hybrid at the end. I totally loved the throwback to Resurrection mixed with Prometheus.
Yeah.
So I was just a big fan of this movie all around.
Yeah, this is in my back 10, and it's in my back 10 because of the fact that I talk a lot about the burden of expectation, and I was just like, Fede Alvarez doing an alien movie?
Yeah.
It's like, holy hell. And while I did enjoy it, I just actually bought it on the Blu-ray 4K whatever because it was on sale right around.
Too.
Yeah, so it just arrived in the mail.
Friday,
It just arrived in the mail along with Deadpool and Wolverine a couple days ago at my house, and so there's tons of supplemental features which I look forward to checking out. But this was the Alien greatest hits that a lot of people have called it out to be, and that is what pushed it into the back half of my 20, and it's not in the 10 because of that. I'm especially curious though what he is going to do with this presumed next film that he's in the process of negotiating making right now, because they're saying it is going to follow characters from this movie.
That's great.
And so that's where it makes me wonder what sort of new tricks up his sleeve, and forge a little bit more new ground as opposed to what this did, because there were times where it was so revolutionary and so awesome, and then others where I was just like, okay, they're speeding up life cycles for necessity of plotting. They're doing but little nitpicks,
Yeah.
I did really dig this movie. I just didn't love it. So
Fair enough. Your number 6.
I was just looking at that because there was a lengthy. Someone was describing it as I was just right down there what Tyler
Aesthetically
said.
perfect. Fetty just annoyed me by lying about using a deepfake during the press tour.
Oh, I didn't
The
even know
CG
that was
would have
brought
been
up.
better. Cheap
Okay.
deepfake killed the look of Rook. Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, because there was only one angle where he looked good. The other angles were kind of ass.
Yeah,
But it's
and
because the deepfake was like that one angle is the angle where the original footage they used as the deepfake was placed.
Yeah.
That's why it looked good. When they had to change it, that's where it was tough because they didn't have the footage at those angles.
Yeah, that's where all too often.
If I'm not mistaken, Tyler.
Yeah, that's where all too often, since Disney, because Disney owns 20th Century at this point, where it's been tough, even with the Star Wars stuff, whether Luke or Leia or whatever over the years, it's still very much a work in progress. It's fine for video games, but when you're trying to recreate deceased people, that's where, whether it's Tarkin or Leia or whatever. So, okay, on to my...
By the way, thanks for stopping by, guys. We got 40 watchers. We haven't had that many in a while, so it's nice.
Yes, hells
appreciate
to the
you guys
Easel.
coming through.
Hells to the Easel.
Appreciate it.
All
Fuego,
right.
your number 6.
Yeah, so my number 6 is another one that I don't believe you saw. It is another one from the
this one
International
or this
Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival. It is going to be that one,
this one.
that one right there.
Okay. Ba-bam!
So this,
Propriedad!
this is a Brazilian film that was originally it debuted on the festival circuit right at the end of 2022. Did not make its official release for U.S. people in limited theaters, and then eventually home release until this year. But man, translated to property, this is one of those horror thriller social commentary films that deals with, okay, so there's this enormous estate in Brazil, and it is going to be sold, and it's an estate that has functioned as a farm for generations, and so there are people who have lived here, and their parents lived there and stuff, and have worked on these grounds, harvesting and doing all kinds of other things, and cattle, blah blah blah. And so suddenly the people who own this, the family who owns this huge farmland estate, have decided they're going to sell it. It's all going to get torn down and turned into an amusement park. And so the owner goes to break the news to this enormous staff of people that don't just work there, they live there too. And they're essentially like, where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do? And he's like, well, I'm going to give you all severance pay. I'm going to help you with finding, with job placements and things like that, good recommends, whatever. And he's like, I'm going to forgive all of your debts because a lot of you have freebies on the books and years of them, And they're like, no, we're going to revolt. We're going to start torturing and killing people. And there's inner fighting amongst themselves and whatever. And the big thing is that the wife of the owner ends up in this armored vehicle, which is right in the front of the main home of the estate.
You told me about this.
Yeah,
at the time,
dude.
and I never saw it, but I wanted to.
This movie is messed up, and it has stuck with me since March when I watched it, and it has one of the most chilling endings to a film I've seen, not just this year, but because... So this woman is trapped in the vehicle, and these people are trying their damnedest, all of these different farmhands, to break into it. And so they're pumping out the tires, they're trying with guns to shoot through the windows, all these different things. All the while, they're bickering with each other. They start killing each other. There's brutal torture. I mean, there's nothing supernatural about this. It is just very much about class struggle and about how people, because there's messed up stuff on both sides. There's, okay, are you just being completely... just uncaring for those lesser than you, but yet there is even characters who are showing empathy and compassion are still being tortured, and there's collateral damage aspects with that too. And the divide down in Brazil, from what I was researching right after reading this, between the wealthy and the poor is massive, dude. It is you're either dirt poor or you're super rich, and there isn't really any middle class. And so the ending to this movie still haunts me. It's so messed up, and yes, that's why it's my number 6.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so that's gonna go to my number 5. I'm trying to decide if I want to swap my 5 and 4, but I don't think I will. So my number 5 is gonna be the First Omen.
Okay.
I have never liked the Omen series ever. I've seen all
Not
of
even
them,
the first
including
one,
the
or-
fucking 5th straight to TV one.
Yeah.
and
Because they remade it twice. I want to say, or only
no,
the once.
just once.
Okay, the one with Julia Stiles.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm. No. I'm sorry. No, they did. They remade. No, well, because the 5th one wasn't the Julia Stiles one. So there's technically been. This is the 7th technically, because there were 4. And then I think there was the straight to TV 5th one, and then the Julia Stiles remake, and now this. I think that having never liked the Omen series, this is the only movie that's been entertaining to me, and they did such a good job. Essentially, the exact same plot as 2 other movies that came out this year, Immaculate and another one that came out later, which I don't remember now. But they did it so well. The effects were incredible, and as a creature person, they did something that I had always wanted to see that was so fucking cool, right? The whole idea is that Damien is the son of a woman and a fucking jackal, and we finally saw the jackal in this movie at the very, very end. I was so excited to see it. I was like, yeah, you gave me the fucking jackal, and you looked awesome, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking cool. Like from the opening scare with the shit falling, the off the church, and
fine.
just going, that death, Charles Dance,
Father,
right,
are
from
you okay?
from Game of Thrones, right, and so good. I adored this movie. It was so fucking awesome.
It's coming up for me.
Okay. So you want to wait?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Omen franchise ranking should be interesting.
Nah.
It'd be like if I did a tier list. It'd be like B D D D D A.
And the interesting about this one is that they were so low key about this movie. There was they didn't announce it way ahead or anything like that. It just kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people. And I just rewatched this in the past week, even though I was I'm supposed to be rewatching, but it was for seeding purposes and ranking and whatever. So I showed this to Catherine. She was just like, yeah, that's
all right. So there you go. That's my number 5.
okay. So my number 5 is one that I just watched this past week. This is the one that shot its way into my 10. Knocked a film out.
Ooh.
I'm curious if you got around to ever watching this.
Is it this one?
This is my South Korean horror entry. I feel like there's always one that breaks through, gets a lot of people's attention. I missed this in theaters because it was only showing at way out at Westgate and maybe it was at Arrowhead or something. But anyway, it would have entailed a drive, so I didn't get to see it until it eventually arrived on Shudder. This movie is so amazingly acted, so just creepy at times. I loved the mythology now it may be a little divisive for what they incorporate as far as some historical things in the back half of this movie, but this for me was essentially it took some of the sensibilities of Bong Joon-ho's Parasite film and melded it with the paranormal, so a little dash of maybe The Exorcist or something like that. I dug the hell out of this movie. I love the fact that despite thinking of themselves as being very virtuous, they're not full on con men or con women, like the shaman lady or anything like that. This is one that I want to do a full review on because I just watched this a few days ago, and I was just so impressed with it from a filmmaking standpoint, from an acting standpoint. They're not quite con men, but there is definitely kind of an arrogant overzealousness about how they approach what they do and how they take advantage, most notably, of rich people. And they have this whole racket together. You've got the guy who runs the mortuary. You've got the guy who helps find the funeral plots. And they all work with rich people. You've got the shaman that can, help. Okay, there's bad spirits, surrounding your family. And that's the woman and the younger guy who help with their different, drum circle seance stuff. I was just so impressed with this film, and I liked how it gave me just some of those reminders about how religious these parts of Asia, of Eastern Asia, can be. And this film kicked ass. I'm so glad that I finally just got around to watching it because it's easily in my top 10. There was a time when I thought it was going to be a little bit higher, but it flipped. So yeah.
I
Did
didn't
you
like
end up
it.
seeing? You didn't like
I
it.
didn't like it. No.
And yet you like
Here's the
stuff like
problem.
the sad-
I do
or-
normally, but I've had this happen with another one that people love. I didn't like The Wailing either.
Yeah.
Like they're
Which
both
was another
South
South
Korean
one. Yeah.
horror that are very slow.
This was very slow burn.
methodical,
Yeah.
very meticulous.
Yeah.
But I didn't get into either one. And
man.
none of it was scary. The ultimate reveal
I
and,
thought it was
and final
creepy more so than
confrontation
scary.
was like, it's okay. So it's a zombie in a samurai suit. That's
Well,
it. Like fucking
demon,
how?
you know,
okay,
yeah.
demon in a samurai suit, kept in shadow. Like
that's
it's
what I
not
was
that
talking
interesting
about
to me.
with
The first half was way better to me when
Yeah.
the thing got freed and it was after his family.
Yeah.
And you didn't know if he was going to fucking kill a baby.
That was where
Like,
I thought
that
the film
was
that was where the
great.
film was
But
stronger.
it-
I will
it-
agree with that. And
The
where
rest was just boring to me.
oh, I thought this was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
genuinely creepy, and
The acting
yeah.
was great, but
Yeah.
but ultimately it was just a boring. It was a slog for me. It really
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
It really was.
definitely not one for everybody. And it is like it's almost 2.5 hours long, and a lot of these, South Korea, Japanese horror. It's not like some of them clock in like 2.5, close to 3 hours in a lot of cases. And so yeah,
He is the Iron Spike.
I thought this was awesome. Yeah.
All right, so that's Exhuma. My number 4, and this is why I'm.
It was a
one
little
the
bit
reasons
safe
I'm
of an
so-
ending, though. That is the one thing that my one criticism of Exhuma, the very end and what happens with all characters.
Yeah,
Stakes are a little bit low.
yeah.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Late Night with the Devil.
Okay.
I really loved this movie.
movie's awesome.
I've only watched it once. I do want to do a rewatch of it, but I was so blown away with the presentation. I love the idea. Like I've already said a number of times, I like gimmick horror when it's done right.
Yeah.
I do. The Smile movies are great. It's What's Inside from this past movie where they're switching bodies.
Yeah.
Great. You know, sometimes it's done poorly when you have like the friendship game and the elevator game and anything involving a game.
Yeah.
But like this was a gimmick, right? It's the presentation of a late night show episode where paranormal shit happens, where they're interviewing supposedly a girl that's possessed. And it's done so well, and the little girl is so fucking creepy, and they film it so well where she's predicting the cameras that they're gonna cut to and shit, and it's so good. And Dave Desmalchin is incredible in the role. It's just, again, I like different in the horror genre.
Is very different.
And this is absolutely that. So the fact that you put some of the other ones, including Destroy All Monsters or Destroy All Neighbors above this one, is mind-boggling to me.
No, personal.
But
personal
again,
flavor, man.
It's
This film is awesome, man. And I mean, did the supernaturally stuff at the very end where it goes into full-on dream sequence, because that's like the major criticism I've seen coming from some people. That stuff worked for you?
Say again?
The,
Sorry, I was reading comments.
No, you're good. You're
Apologies.
good. So where it veers into like the dream segment stuff almost at the very end with his wife and those confrontations, it's like one of the few criticisms of the film.
I didn't
seen.
bump into it at all. I liked it.
Yeah. Where it goes away from what it's been the entire time and
But
it
it's
shifts
okay,
into
but it
like
was-
a full-on movie.
Yeah, but it was
so to
giving
speak.
context
Yeah.
for why he was the way that he has been the entire day.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. Like, give me the context. Cool.
This is where a horror countdown is just so tough, because there's things that I loved about each of the films that I've talked about so far more than others, and things that it's why I do sometimes agree when people are like, oh, you can't pick a number one. I'm like, no, this is my 10 in no particular order, you know. But it's like, no, you gotta be committal, man.
it's
you know?
a cop out.
Yeah,
fence sitter.
yeah, exactly.
All right, so my number 4 is your number 9, Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah. And my number 4 is one that I don't know if you ever got around to seeing, and this is another one where let me announce it first. So this is very similar to my explanation for
Let me roll out the red carpet before you
Destroy
throw
All
it up
Neighbors.
there.
Though this is very similar to why I love Destroy All Neighbors so much as a musician, because I spent years and years, over a decade, in kitchens, especially in the latter half of my year, in a high pressure, the bare sort of kitchen. Thankfully, I wasn't cooking back there, but I
still
observed.
haven't watched that. Have you watched that
observed that. I just watched some of the first season. It was kind of PTSD for me a little bit. You know, I was just so glad I was the server on the other side, or I was a manager who only had to roll up my sleeves from time to time and jump on the line. But Nick Stahl, I believe you. But Nick Stahl in What You Wish For. I just revisited this a couple nights ago because it is streaming on Hulu now. Actually.
Oh, it is? Okay, I'll add it to my... Because you've talked a lot about it, so if it's free, I'll watch it.
It is not full-on horror. It is more so thriller with horror elements. There's also some dark comedy elements in this.
You made me feel like the Menu when you first kind of told me about it.
It's got kind of that vibe, and I think maybe that's what puts you off to it a little bit.
No, I love the Menu.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the aspect
this
that makes
is like
me want
if the Menu was getting leaning much more into its horror sensibilities.
I just can't get over Terminator 3 with Nick Stahl.
Really?
Like it's all I ever think about when I watch it.
He was in the Hunter x Hunter we liked a lot from.
No, I loved
years
Hunter
ago,
x Hunter.
too.
Yeah. But that's all I can think of is Terminator 3.
He was a step down for John Connor for sure. But this is one where I encourage everybody to go in as blindly as possible. Because I sure as hell went in as blind as possible. And this is one that, once again, having been in this high pressure industry, having experienced it, the culinary arts of the snootiest degree, I love it. And I love what this film develops into. I love just what the title implies, that when you're given opportunities and then the baggage that comes with said opportunity. This is definitely a film that when I was watching it for that very first time, and which is why I was so adamant about showing it to Kat, because I was like, I wanted to see somebody else when they react to something that happens early in the movie, where you start to kind of get the first inclination as to what might be going down, and then you start to, you can kind of telegraph it a little bit, but it's just it's handled with dark comedy. And like, you can tell it was written by somebody who most definitely worked in the industry, as opposed to who watched a shit ton of The Bear or one of these other, there was one with Bradley Cooper from a few years ago, which is also another one of these high pressure cooking situations. There were two movies that had this sort of vibe that came out this year. The other one was called House of Spoils on Prime, and I liked that one okay enough. It was pretty good, but this movie leaps and bounds above that as far as tension and premise and payoff, and just an ending that sits with you, and the fact that you're just like, yep, that's how it goes. Life in the big city, as my little brother used to say all the damn time. So this one, there were times where I was thinking it was going to be a little higher, a little lower, but I knew it was going to end up right somewhere in the middle, 4 or 5 or 6, because the filmmaking is great, the writing is sharp as some of the knives that are used to cut up the veggies and whatever in this. And so yeah, guys, check it out on Hulu now, streaming. Nick Stahl, What You Wish For. That's
I
my
just
number
added
4.
it to my list, because I am interested in it. Okay, so we're down to number 3, and I'm struggling with my order a little bit.
Yeah, my 2 and 3 could go either way. So, but I think I'm going to keep them steadfast as they have been.
Let me double check, because I don't have it listed here. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with my order, I guess. So my number 3 might surprise some people. It definitely surprised me. When I watched it.
Did you rewatch it?
No, I didn't need to, nor will I ever.
Oh, like that, huh?
But when I watched it with Morgan, and it was so profoundly affecting to me. It's the only movie that I had happen this, and it only happens rarely. When I saw The Final Girls,
no, I'm trying to.
When I saw Bringing Out I Sell the Dead,
no.
I Sell Your Dead.
I'll Bring Your Dead.
I'll Bring Me Your Dead. I'll Sell Your Dead. Or no,
It was the ones that our buddy Chad.
Yeah.
The guys who did Heretics.
Fuck, I'm so bummed I can't think of it. Anyway, I'll Take Your Dead. I'll Take Your Dead. Yeah. So he.
I'm thinking of Bring Out Your Dead.
Yeah, those movies, I cried at the end. Final Girls, for different reasons. I'll Take Your Dead was much more of a, oh my God, my breath has been taken away.
Both about parents.
I had to sit
parents
here.
and their children, though.
And this happened at the end. The final shot of this movie took my breath away, and I was crying, and Morgan had to you okay? And I'm talking about The Coffee Table. This movie is so hard to watch, especially if you're a parent. It is unbelievable for acting. The story is just it's sad beyond sad, and it's a man's descent. I don't even want to describe what happens.
No, don't give it away with this
No,
one because
no.
the twist is what really
The
makes
twist
it.
is, I mean, it just starts off with a new parent, a couple that are new parents. They buy a new coffee table,
which he's
and,
so adamant about.
Yeah,
and his
exactly.
wife doesn't want it.
Yep. And then something happens, and he is emotionally wrecked and has to try and
Navigate a
dinner party with family
Yeah.
that he wasn't expecting to have to navigate. And there's aspects of Edgar Allan Poe with the Telltale Heart,
Yeah.
big time. And again, how it plays out and where it eventually gets in the denouement and the actual climax, all the way to the final image. And when I saw that final, like,
Yeah,
I really can't talk about it because
it's tragic.
it is tragic and
Yeah.
it is haunting. The image is literally haunting in so many ways, and it's like, it's one of those things where I don't know that I would make a different choice than the character made in the movie. And
Yeah.
it's just, fuck, it's so much. And
It is atonement.
the fact that it
sure.
does this to me is
Yeah.
why, like, I almost moved it to number one just because it's so profoundly affecting
I've
to
seen
me.
it on a lot of number ones.
But it's more one note than the other two movies. That's why I ended up putting it at number 3. But it is so profoundly affecting. It's a movie I never want to watch again, but I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And I probably will watch it again, like maybe in 5 years or something, like, because it's so profoundly affecting, and it's one of those that you can just return to it and feel that again.
Yeah.
If you're ever in an emotional place where
Yeah,
you
if
need,
you
need
feel
that
like you
release,
need
know,
to-
occasionally you need that kind of
Pay your
release, right?
penance or whatever. Yeah.
And so, yeah, the coffee table, a complete and utter horrible surprise that I'll never forget.
Yeah. There were 30-ish films that were in my contention for, where the hell I would put them. This was nowhere near the 10, and I know it's because of the fact that I'm not a parent. And I know from people I've spoken with who were parents versus not parents have had a slightly different reaction because what transpires is so unimaginably horrible. And then it does veer into
I'm afraid to watch it, says Tyler. Yeah.
It does veer into almost like darkly comedic territory.
It's a lot of people
times.
call it a dark comedy.
That's what I felt it was more so like after you get past, the inciting incident and everything. And it's just like, trying to like cover this up and cover that up and the hoity-doity of it. But yeah, since I'm not a parent, I just don't think it affected me in that same fashion because of it.
It is
but
like a sitcom episode
yes,
from
very
hell.
much. Yeah, it is.
Like
it is in that
if the
regard.
devil had a sitcom on his TV, this would be one of the episodes.
Yeah, or like in that stupid Superman sequel where he's on like 2 dates or whatever, and he's like, where Clark is like, I'm Clark for one, and then
Mrs.
the other
Doubtfire.
one, yeah, exactly, yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So this is it's a Spanish film if I recall correctly, and or maybe it's from Argentina, I can't remember, but it's in the Spanish language.
Yeah,
it is very well made. It's a gut punch if you're a parent.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't deny that.
So there you go, the coffee table. Watch at your own risk.
Yeah.
All right, you're number 3.
My number 3 is obviously nowhere on your list, and I watched this a second time and liked it even more.
Probably this one.
I enjoyed the first Smile,
Oh,
but
bam.
dude, Smile 2 was just such a step up in every single capacity, from just the filmmaking and everything from some of the swirling cinematography of some of these
whole one-shot
cityscapes in
opener.
New York City. I mean, yeah, with Galliner, which was just awesome.
And I didn't even realize at the time that it was a one-shot.
Yeah, I didn't either until I saw other people, and then when I was watching it, I've actually seen this 3 times now.
I want to watch it again.
Yeah, and dude, Naomi Scott
Powerhouse.
it might be it's like it's in my number 3, so it's my third performance from an actress to kind of foreshadow a little bit as far as like. I realized the other day when I was like just finalizing my order, and then because my top 3 never changed throughout the last 2 weeks of trying to determine everything, and I was like, all of my favorite films this year in the horror genre were about women that were mentally damaged and they were losing grip on reality, and they had such a trend, and like sometimes a darkly comedic aspect, sure, like this one has at times, like the scene where the teleprompter fucks up on her and she just starts speaking from the heart, man. Like that scene just was like a knife twisting in my stomach.
I see. That's the thing. Like that, I felt like I'd seen before in a few other movies.
No, and
stuff,
of course the finale is something you've seen. It was really.
Well, I love the finale.
I love the finale too. It reminded the finale of what it was a little. You could see it coming a mile away.
But
something similar
how they
happens at the
executed
end.
it was still great.
it was terrific. It was terrific, man. And having seen another film this year that was pretty bad with its pop music and its pop star.
You don't mean Trap, do you?
I do, of course. And the music and the performance aspects in this one blew that out of the water.
It showed
every
just how bad that
capacity.
really was.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely did. And the fact that you had the crazy, manager mom in it, who I thought was just a bitch face the entire damn time. Even when you try to make her a little more redeeming, and just Naomi Scott, man, was just like I'd seen her in she was Jasmine in the live action version of Aladdin, and then I know she'd done like the Power Rangers movie, but this was where I legitimately was like, this girl blew me away with just the nuance, that so many uncomfortable scenes. I mean, the third act goes a little off the rails, but as it's a phrase I don't like, but I was definitely there for it. Man, this film I enjoy it more every time I've watched it. I've seen it 3 times now. So.
Yeah, this one barely missed my list.
Yeah.
I just liked
and I like the
more.
music and her costuming. I mean, I don't typically like this sort of stuff. I mean, I respect Gaga to a degree, which is who I think she most emulates in this. You know, with the torch and being in New York and all this different stuff. So, what a step ahead! And I can't wait to see what this guy does with that Possessor remake.
The throng of dancers in the mirror hallway is such an awesome image.
Yeah. There's so many things to love about this one, man.
All right, so let's see. Tasha Helms in the chat. What's going on? Nighttime in the chat. I don't know if we missed you coming in to say hi.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Christopher Santiago. Not sure if we saw you. Wild Wrangler. I thought I saw Laura Copley, but anyway, thank you guys for stopping by.
Smile 2
All
gave
of you.
us Jack
Appreciate it.
Nicholson's son. If you're gonna have anybody smile and do it convincingly,
It was too confusing for me to see what was real. The original cleaned that up in the end, but this one seemed focused on ta-da rather than the journey. That's fair.
And that's a fair criticism that I've heard from a few other people. But you know, I don't know. I was there for just the batshit manic wildness of the third act in this one.
So my number 2 is going to be one that took a lot of people by storm. I'm surprised it didn't. Maybe it's in your bottom 10, but The Substance. It's fucking.
It is
fantastic.
It
blew me away.
It's just outside looking in.
It's so stylistic. It's so well made as a movie, not just production design wise, not just acting wise, not just cinematography wise, but editing and score and the way it all worked together so brilliantly. The lead actresses, Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, both unbelievable. And then Dennis Quaid in the sleaziest, grossest version of a Hollywood
Especially
executive.
with the close-ups, man.
So well done. Oh, when he's eating those fucking shrimp, it's awful.
Yeah.
But the effects are incredible. The only reason it's outside of my number 1 is because
I thought
my number 1 was great the whole way through. The Substance, while the craziness of the ending is fun, I think it dips the quality of the movie just a little bit.
That's where it lost me, and that's what pushed it outside.
And I like crazy shit, and I
too.
like gore and stuff, but it was just a little. It was like one hair step too far for me, which is why it's not my number 1. But it did so much great, and I mean, Margaret Qualley's sexy as hell too. Like, and Demi Moore, very sexy for her age. You know, amazing.
I mean, she's done a lot of work done, but it doesn't look
matter.
like it doesn't look. It's not noticeable. Like,
and the fact that
she
was willing to get into the makeup for the stuff at the end, like 5-7
that's
hour
where I was wondering.
Stuff. She did it.
Yeah,
no, she did it.
Oh yeah, I saw.
So yeah, it's
swinging for the fences.
Amazing all around. And completely unexpected. Like Robert and I did a trailer reaction for it like 2 weeks before it came out, and we were both like, "Wow, that looks a lot better than it originally, we thought it was going to be." And we haven't heard hardly anything about it. So it is what movies should be, in my opinion, when it's trying to be different and stylistic and cinematic, and we don't get that very much in the horror genre. So I loved it.
Yeah, and props to Corley, the director, man, because I really enjoyed Revenge, but this was like, This was better, like on technical levels, on scripting level, and I really got to applaud her. Even though this was just outside my 10, I think it's like 12, maybe something like that. But I'm with you. The third act, I know some people love how bonkers it went. I mean, there's a fight sequence in this it's just a little too campy for me. I mean, there's just certain bits where I'm there for this sort of silliness, but sometimes when it goes just too far, I feel like the tones don't always mesh like perfectly. The ending is great though, and the cathartic nature of that, and just getting back to that star,
the circularness of it.
Yeah, exactly. But, Coralie sticking to her guns, where Universal, who helped fund this movie, were like, no, we want you to trim this and trim that, whatever. She's like, hell no, I'm not doing it. So they're like, okay, we're going to sell it. And they sold it to, like, Mubi or something. That's where it's streaming now. So if you sign up for a 7-day free trial, you can watch The Substance for free right now. Stream it for free if you feel like not spending the rental price or whatever. But, yeah, they stuck to their guns, and look what big hit it turned out to be. The Golden Globes are happening tonight.
Yeah.
This is on deck for Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress,
Isn't it
Best
in the
Writer,
comedy,
Best Director.
Too? Like,
yeah.
Because they don't have a list for horror.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely horror comedy for sure.
Yeah, but...
and the body horror grossness. While I did find it funny, and like the whole New Year's Eve stuff at the end.
Yeah.
It did get a little excessive to the point of, okay, I see you're reveling in the gleefulness of it, but it's still a hell of an achievement for this year, man. Most definitely.
Yep. All right, your number 2.
So my number 2 is one that you spoke of already. It is a prequel. It is the First Omen. No Tiger Free is like a friggin' revelation in this, man. I had seen her in Servant, and I thought she was really strong on that show, which M. Night Shyamalan was behind.
Never watched that one.
Great cast, dude. Great cast in that. Rupert Grint, Toby Kebbell, I want to say. Anyway, excellent cast. She's very good in it. But this was the time where I was just like, holy hell. And I rewatched it a couple days ago. And I was thinking of seeding purposes. And just from a directorial standpoint too, just the symmetry of the shots in this, whether it's the spidery hair bit after the night partying, or whether it's the crazy hand birthing bit that you mentioned already. This movie goes for it, and it pushed the R rating hardcore, man. I mean, it is violent, and the fact that
this is the scene where she has the freak out by the car, right?
Yeah, which was the whole possessor sort of reenactment almost, and she's like drooling.
That's what fucking Lily Rose Depp tried to do.
Was trying to do.
Didn't pull it off.
Nowhere near the quality or caliber of it.
Exactly. If we hadn't had her do it so much better earlier
Yeah.
in the year, I probably would have been more forgiving of Lily Rose Depp.
Yeah, and I mean, just the recreation of this particular era of Italy too, you know, and the fact that they kept it historically accurate with some of the writing that was going down at the time. This had a theatrical, like, studio budget sort of behind it too, and the fact that they just kind of quietly released it, didn't make a lot of money, but as far as between Immaculate and this movie, I mean, good God, dude, the caliber of this from an auteur standpoint, you know, was just so significantly superior, and it just barely, once again, about another woman who is descending into madness and losing grip with reality, and exceptional performance. Streaming on Peacock right now, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Necromechanical made a point about The Substance. I feel The Substance didn't land the relationship between Elizabeth and Sue. Felt like they were different people. Would have been more interesting if Sue had Elizabeth's wisdom, but still failed. I think she was intended to have that, but I agree. I don't think it was illustrated well enough.
I don't think the dynamic was explained very well at all, especially with how they kind of contradict each other with the feuding behaviors and stuff. That was another one of my gripes about it.
To me, I gave it a pass because it was like she was just getting greedy with it, you know. It's like, it is her, a younger her. She just got greedy,
and yet they're supposed to be the same person.
Yeah,
so she knows what's inevitably going to happen by her behavior, and she just didn't care.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, well, that's the point. That's the point of the movie.
It is. It's about selfish, self-serving behavior. And
did you guys see Heretic yet? We did.
I saw
make
it.
Either of our lists.
Yeah, I liked it. You know, I think I had it in like my 20-something. It was in the considerable 30s, but
did you review it with me? We reviewed it on the channel. If you want our thoughts on it, or at least my thoughts on it,
I don't think I think I was so entrenched in school that I didn't even see this right when it came out.
Yeah, no, I reviewed it. I didn't think enough happened in it.
The third act was where the movie lost me.
I just didn't think enough happened at all. Period.
Yeah.
It was a Kevin Smith horror movie. Basically.
Yeah, and I like Sophie Thatcher a lot, man. I mean, she's awesome. You know, but all the talking at the beginning was my favorite part of
That's
the
what
movie.
I'm saying.
Actually.
That's why I said Kevin Smith horror movie. That's what's
Yeah.
the best thing about his movies.
Yeah, especially just the whole religious standpoint of, is it real, is it not, and how so much has been recycled over time. Hugh Grant is exceptional, and he's up for an award tonight, if I'm not mistaken, for his performance in the comedy or musical
I
category.
don't know what you're referring to, Daniel, with release the Snyder cut, because we are
Of
not
what?
we are not Snyder Bros here. So
He has cuts of all of his stuff, including the Rebel Moon.
yeah, which
the Rebel
probably
Moon
would be on a
duo.
lot of people's worst of lists.
Although
this
I've
year.
heard Twilight of the Gods is pretty good. That's his
I got
animated
3
thing that he
episodes
did.
in, and I just
Didn't like it so
I've
much.
abandoned it. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's on my list to get back to, but I just don't care enough.
A lot of people think he should not write his own stuff because he has a lot of directing talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
All right, so my number
the
one.
drum roll. Yeah.
Fucking Fuego.
Yeah.
Fuego's number 10 is my number 1.
I'm surprised
Strange Darling.
it held this long.
It was phenomenal. It was my best theater going experience the entire year. I loved the Tarantino arrangement. I was caught off guard where I was needing to be caught off guard. Like, I saw the turn coming just a little bit before it came, and I was so happy with it. The way it played out, the acting from both actors were incredible.
Yeah.
Subverted my expectations, which is all I want to happen in horror now, or at least, I want them to do it well when they try and do it. This did it well. I walked out like, it was like starting at the beginning, and it was like chapter 4, and I was like, this is going to be one of those. All right, cool. And I just loved seeing how it played out. The way, earlier parts gave context to the later parts, which we'd already seen. And I absolutely loved the layout. I loved the acting. I loved the story. It was a banger the whole way through. Not a weak point for me.
Yeah, this was always one that was in the middle of my 10, and it never fell out. But as I gave certain other... I have also watched this one 3 times. Perhaps the fact that the last person I watched with, who I've mentioned her a few times on this already, she did not like this movie, and maybe that is why
Colored your
it fell
opinion
a
a little
little bit further back, because she gave some critiques, a few of which I thought were valid enough, but I think she said the tone was a little too all over the place for her liking or whatever. But
well, is this her list or your list?
Yeah, exactly right, exactly right. But I mean, no, that's the thing. Like after you watch something, maybe when you watch it a few additional times, like that's where it either goes up or it goes down. It went down just to the slightest degree for me, because I think it was originally at like maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5, and then it just kept getting pushed. I don't know. Yeah. But
Again, I might have put Coffee Table above it if Coffee Table wasn't so kind of one note the whole way. This was just, it was fun. It went up, it went down. I was like, all this sexiness at the beginning is like, normally I'm not like that big into that kind of stuff, at my old age, but it was still engaging.
You got the bones going.
Well, I mean, not that
I know
so much
that.
as
Yeah,
it
I
just
know
wasn't. It wasn't superfluous to me. It wasn't like unnecessarily just thrown in.
Yeah, no,
it was imperative to setting up the relationship between the two.
It's a kinked out movie for damn sure, man.
So it's phenomenal. Strange Darling is. I will add it to my my collection whenever I have the extra money to do so.
Yeah.
And I adored the movie. I thought it was great.
Well, this has been my Die on the Hill movie the entire year.
I never understood. I thought it was just okay.
When we reviewed it, it haunted me, and I've rewatched it a few times since it debuted on Shudder after being initially in theaters. Stopmotion. This is a directorial debut. I forget the name of the actress, but she shined in The Nightingale, which was a rape revenge movie that also, I believe she's an Australian actress, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as descents into madness go, that just end in the most horribly disturbing way possible. And it's all set to the backdrop of what I find so fascinating, which is stop motion animation, the dynamic of our lead character with her domineering mother, and the fact that she's initially trying to finish this film, and just how painstaking stop motion is in general. So it has, from an artistry standpoint, just I love that aspect of it. And the person who did this movie directorially had done some stop motion animation shorts previously, so they took those skills, they combined it with a disturbing narrative. That I love the drug out sequence at the party with our weird, like almost like Middle Eastern-y synth stuff going down where she's tripping out, and it's not full on gory crazy until the third act, and yet it's more self-mutilation, and that stuff disturbed me thoroughly. And I talked about the ending to property being like maybe the most disturbing. The end of this one, if you remember, she's like, I love it. The little girl, and just telling her I love it, and it closes the book, the film. I can't explain sometimes how art affects me in like, you know, the complete words that I would love to. And this one just, I don't know, thoroughly disturbed me, upset me, impressed me. Love stop motion. It's my number one, man.
I don't get it. I mean, like, I just didn't think it was that great. You know, no hate, obviously. It just didn't resonate with me. I wish it did, because I do like stop motion too. I was hoping for a lot more out of it than I got, and it was just a bummer. And, you know, now that you say there's the self kind of mutilation thing, what I realized as you were talking about that never gets me. That never disturbs me.
That stuff
like,
disturbs
I
me
completely detach from that stuff, because I've never been a self-harmer.
Yeah.
And so every time I'm like, no, like, anytime someone's self-harming in a movie, I just think special effects. I never buy into it, because I've never been of that mindset. You know what I mean? So like, I don't, like, I'm like, oh, special effects, they're not actually doing that. You know, I immediately shift to like, oh, it's an actor with special effects.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that says about me. Like, I don't know if it's because it's ultimately disturbing to me. Like, yeah, it sucks that people get to the point where they decide that that's the only way to make themselves feel better, but I never buy into it in movies for some reason.
I dated a girl in high school who had similar inclinations. You know, I've never been one myself, but I've seen it Ground Zero. It's horrible. It's frightening. It sucks. And yet, that's not even like the thing that really sold the movie for me. It was the parental dynamic, you know, with the oppressive creative, and just wanting so badly to live up to those expectations, realizing you're not as talented as your parent was, and that sort of thing. And
the daughter.
Yeah, the ending sticks with me though, man, as far as just upsetting me, you know. And anyway, that's the great thing about art. Nighttime says they hated stop motion. You're entitled to your opinion.
And then Laura right above it, oh my god, this movie creeped me out.
Yeah, so that is my number one, and it has been the entire year. It wasn't threatened.
Yeah, no, you've stood by that one.
Yeah, die on the hill. So yeah.
So there you go, guys. That is our top 10 horror movies of 2024.
I'm sure there's a lot of auspicious absences where people are like, how in the hell is this not on there?
No one brought this up. I think we covered most of the big ones, though. Like,
aside from the one we just reviewed.
Oh yeah. People are like, where's Nosferatu? Yeah, well, you know.
Watch our review.
Nosferatu, would it even make your 20?
It's not in my 20. No. It's not even in my 30, dude.
No, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't put it in the 50 I saw this year. Yeah. Like, I saw, I think, like 75 maybe horror movies, and I would put it in the bottom 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we recorded our review of that. I'll put that review up tomorrow or the next day, because I just want to give this, you know, this episode some time to breathe. But yeah, so look forward to our review of Nosferatu, Getaway, and The Damned. Those will all be coming this week, and then we'll be back on Sunday.
Daniel said no blood or honey. Isn't that the
Winnie the Pooh 2?
Okay. I saw it.
No blood or honey.
When you have Tigger trying to be Freddy Krueger, bitch.
I'm surprised neither of you mentioned Abigail. Abigail was just fun.
It was in my back half.
I wouldn't have put Ready or Not on my favorite the year it came out either. You know what I mean? Just fun, not really super great, but you know, again, to each their own. That's what's fun about these.
Yeah, Abigail's in my back. It's in the back of my 20, but you know, it's
Movie Mike. I'm glad there was so little crossover. Yeah, that tends to happen with Fuego and I, which is nice. You know,
yeah, drastically different sensibilities.
Get a cross section a little bit there. Although it's not fun when you see your number one drop at number 10 on his list.
And you're like, you dumbass!
What the fuck?
What is wrong with you?
All right, so thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to everyone that participated in the chat.
Gracias.
We greatly appreciate you guys.
Yes. Lots of energy, lots of
mustaches, says Daniel. That honestly,
Who wants a mustache ride?
I do have a bit of a rant on that in the reviews, so stay tuned for that.
Oh man!
So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. If you missed it, we already did our most anticipated of 2025. Let's go back and check that out. This will be it for our top list. We don't do a worst movies list. We don't do a disappointing movies list because. As someone that's trying to get into making films, I don't think it's necessary to point out what we think are bad. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, and a lot of our contemporaries and even like people we would probably call friends, in the sphere of sorts, they'll do a disappointing and a surprising and a
Yeah,
best
yeah.
and a worst and all these different things. And
How do you do disappointing and worst like as two separate lists? I never understood that.
I think you're like, okay, this wasn't bad, but the burden of expectation,
Yeah, I
perhaps.
guess.
So maybe I would put something like Romulus in a disappointing list because of the fact that
can't even
I was
believe that
kind
you'd
of
say that.
disappointed.
But,
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys very much, and until next time, I've been Cecil Laird,
And gracias a Jaime Fuego.
and remember,
Stay
stay scared.